Hello and welcome to the Coon Hunting University podcast. This is your host, Tyler Duncan, and like always, class is in session. Hey y'all, so Coon Hunting University is brought to you by Superior Light Company, best lights in the business. If you don't believe me, go check them out, nighthunters.com. Use coupon code CHU podcast at checkout and receive almost $20 off Hellcat Max. But that code is good for any Superior light on that website and the battery tester, which works with the Hellcat Max. So go over there and check them out. So today I'm joined by Mr. Stephen Dale Brabham. Me and Stephen Dale have known each other for a while. He's a great guy. The reason I asked him to come on here is because he used to hunt hounds, and not long ago he swapped and started hunting curs. Well, he coon hunts with his curs some, but he really got into squirrel hunting big. We're going to talk about the contrast between competition coon hunting versus competition squirrel hunting. We're also going to talk about coon hunting with the cur versus coon hunting with the hound and how everything differs, and even a crossbred hounds and curs. It's a very interesting topic. I hope y'all enjoy it. So without further ado, Mr. Stephen Dale's going to be joining us virtually. Let's go ahead, get him on the line. Y'all sit back and enjoy. Hey, Stephen Dale, how's it going, buddy?
Doing good, Tyler. How about you?
Oh, man, I'm doing excellent, buddy. If you could, please tell the folks that are listening to this a little bit about yourself.
Stephen Brabham from Smithdale, Mississippi. Just enjoy living a little tree dog life from time to time and working like everybody else. And I've lived in Uppbeat County all my life, 43 years old now, so been here all this time and have been quite fortunate enough to do a little hunting here and there and yonder.
I hear you, buddy. Tell me about the dogs that you have right now.
I have a 6-year-old male original mountain cur right at the moment, and I raised him from a 6-week-old pup. Pretty nice dog. He's a UMCA night champion, UMCA squirrel champion, NSD grand squirrel champion. Been fortunate enough to enjoy the dog and has killed a lot of game with him and won quite a bit of hunts with him.
You know, I've known Stephen Dale for a while now, and I used to think he was a relatively smart individual until he stopped hunting hounds and started hunting curs now. So
everybody has that thought. You know, some of the guys that I see every now and then that I hadn't seen in years, and we'll be talking about hunting, and they'll say, "Man, I hadn't seen you at a coon hunt forever." Of course, hound hunts, and I say, "Well, I'm still hunting, man. I just I run something a little different now," and they kind of give you a weird look, but it's, you know, until you go with a dog like this, it's really not that much difference. Yes, there's some that are, but you find one that you like and that suits you. To me, it's not a lot of difference.
What'd you win? You won the world hunt?
No, I didn't want a world hunt with him. I never took him to a world hunt. I was going to go to a world hunt a couple years ago with him, and we had a death in a friend of mine's family and my traveling partner, and so it kind of got pushed, and I never made the trip again. I have been to the Nationals with him up in Kentucky, the NSD Nationals, and just had a good time. Didn't win, got beat just right there at the end of the hunt, less than 4 minutes to go, but it just happens. I won a pro hunt with him up in the Delta 2 years ago. I guess that's probably his biggest win's been that. We had a real nice weekend up there and was fortunate enough to get through 3 rounds of really, really nice dogs and come out on top. So I guess if I had to say, that's probably his biggest win.
That's the year that he won a Dog of the Year, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, that year he won the UMCA Dog of the Year. He won the state hunt. He won the state hunt in NSD. He was the state leader in NSD that year in the Mississippi State race. And I'm trying to think, Tyler. I'm sorry, I ain't got it all wrote down right in front of me, but
you good?
He won quite a bit. He won quite a bit that year, and really every year since he was, I don't know, 2 years old, I pushed him different organizations and done really well with him. I know the year he won Dog of the Year, I do know for a fact because I have a record of it. He won 13 of 18 casts that year.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's good, especially on the squirrel side. I mean, guys that hunt a cast every weekend or whatever, 13 might not sound like a lot, but they don't have that many, especially local, huh?
No, we don't. Not really. And the ones that the NSD hunts are a little different. They're set up a little more kind of probably the style that most of these hound guys would like. It's a full elimination. So anyway, he done quite a bit of winning then.
I mean, for sure. So, like I said, you used to hunt hounds. That's where I know you from. I mean, not only that, I mean, I'm from around that area. So, I mean, I knew you before then, but.
Right.
What's the difference in coon hunting with a cur versus coon hunting with a hound? Because your dog is a night champion too, right?
This dog, not all of them are like him. He's a little different, and then again, there is some that I say not all of them, but there's still quite a few that are good on both sides. Most of the time they're going to be better at one versus the other, but there's several that are average to above average on both. But as far as coon hunting goes, most of them are not going to open very much on the ground. What I look for and what I want, what I ask of my cur dog in the nighttime, and it's a little bit harder to find than most, is I don't really care where you got to go to get under a coon, but I need to find you somewhere under a coon. Of course, everybody says, hey, I want to find my dog under a coon. Well, if you got a cur dog that'll hunt deep enough, he's just about going to have a coon just about every time you walk to him, because most of them are extremely accurate. And that's the reason why I hunted hounds forever and had some nice hounds, don't get me wrong, but our woods kind of got cut up down here, and I got older, and them hills over there in that Homachetta forest ain't what they used to be to me. And I got places here I can hunt that's, maybe 100, 150 acres, where a hound might blow through that pretty quick if it's my style of dog. But most of the curs, they can hunt it just as fast or faster at night, and they handle a little better. So, he can hunt a place out pretty quick, and I can call him in, pick him up, move somewhere else. That's to me, that's the biggest plus in our area, to hunting, is the handle, and he hunts fast, and like I said, if he trees, you get there, he's gonna have some eyeballs.
So, would you say that was what personally made you swap from hunting a hound to hunting curs?
Yeah, and then I'm not 100% opposed to a hound. I have dabbled with some that are half breed, crossbred, half trim walker, half cur, and some of those dogs are a little harder going, and they have a little bit of both sides. And they make really nice dogs, and probably one of the best dogs I've got out of him is a tree and cur, which is half walker and half cur. But to me, yeah, that's what I would say. The reason why I got mainly into the curs is I can kind of spot hunt them a little better here. The way our woods have gotten around here locally, they're just a lot easier to handle. And like I said, I can make a hunt in a place that's 50 to 100 acres big, and if he don't make a tree, well, I can call him out, or he'll circle back through there and I can get close enough to him. I can make him come to me, and I can pick up and go home or go somewhere else or whatever I want to do. Versus, just like I do, some of the hounds that we used to hunt, they go through there. You might have to go to wherever to find them.
Yeah, you can be down there at the forks of the river trying to find them, huh?
Right.
Forks of the A meet. Now, I'll tell you about your cur, Greg Floyd. Me and him work offshore together. He got a puppy off yours, I guess. And I said, man, why don't you let me take that squirrel dog you got? Let me take him down there to the river swamp and go hunt with him. He said, Tyler, you don't want to hunt that thing. He said, it ain't no normal squirrel dog. He said, you cut that thing loose and it kicks dirt in your face leaving. He said, I don't want that in no squirrel dog. I said, well, me either. I want a squirrel dog going to hunt right by me.
Well, yeah. Well, like I said, there's different styles. And just like in a hound, some of them, they all hunt just a little different. Certain lines are notorious for different traits and styles. And I can tell you, probably when Digger was 2.5 years old, there wasn't a whole lot of people wanting to squirrel hunt with him, because I promise you, I've been in that delta before and walked 18 to 20 miles a day hunting him. And that's on a Garmin. That ain't just a made up number. That's an actual number. And he was not for the faint of heart when he was young. But now, if you got in squirrels, if you put Digger in squirrels, he trees squirrels every 50 yards. But if it ain't no squirrels down, no sir. He will go yonder, and he is not afraid to be treed somewhere at 900. So it just depends on what you like.
That's crazy to me to think, squirrel dog going that far. It really is. When I think about squirrel hunting, I think about, I don't know, just hunting close. So tell me about the kind of hound that you liked to hunt when you were hunting hounds and all that.
Well, when I was hunting hounds, I always wanted a pretty honest strike dog. I know everybody wants a hunter strike dog. That's that's the thing nowadays, and that's fine and dandy. But trial hunting, competition hunting, that's only so many nights in the year that average person, when I say average person, I'm talking like me or somebody that might attend, just say a dozen hunts a year. That's really not a lot of hunts. Well, you got all the rest of the year you got to hunt, and I want an honest dog. I want a dog, when he opens, he struck on a coon. And I don't care if they can move the track. I don't care if he strikes a cold track, but don't get bogged up on it. You need to be able to carry it out of there. I know you've hunted with some of them, but a running coon was always my favorite thing. I like the dog that could blister a track, and I was fortunate enough to have a couple, 2, 3, I say maybe a handful that could really, really move a track. Like you wouldn't realize how fast a dog could run a coon. Like I said, I always liked a dog that could drive a track, and they didn't have to be a world champion tree dog. That you stay treed and bark enough to get me there. That's cool. Hard tree dogs are nice, but that's just a little icing on the cake. I want something they can run a track with authority and accurately. Parking.
We were talking about, the traits. Like you said, you like a dog that kind of can take a cold track, just drive it, come treat and have a coon. You don't get that with a cur.
Oh,
Like they're
yeah,
not.
yeah. Well, yeah. Yes, you can. They're a little more winding type dogs, but I have seen some that can treat pretty good on coon and pick a track up that's not what I would call a cur coon type track. But there is some that is pretty darn handy at drifting. Curs ain't gonna hardly get on their head. In other words, they're kind of hard to gauge on the temper of their track because usually when they pick a track up, they're moving ahead. They're moving it somewhere. And some of them open. Now, just, like my male dog at night on a running coon, if he opens a couple of times, half dozen, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna be treed within just a couple hundred yards. He's on him. He's looking at him. But generally speaking, he goes through the wood with his heads up, and he lays coons up a lot. He's gonna jam them. He can tree lay up coons about as slick as you want.
So how often do you tree a coon, mid-morning while you're squirrel hunting him?
I still do occasionally, not as bad as when he was younger. I think cur dogs are smart enough that they kind of put it together. When it's daytime, we squirreling, and when it's nighttime, we're cooning. And but now people think you're crazy, but like I say, until you really get to fooling with these dogs for a few years, it'll surprise you at how darn smart these things are. They're extremely, extremely smart, intelligent dogs. And I never would have dreamed, and I'm sure you probably too, would have never dreamed that I would be as heavily involved with them as I am now, because we grew up hunting hounds, or I grew up hunting hounds, and that's all I ever knew was hounds, other than the occasional go with so and so, and squirrel hunt with a squirrel dog, kind of like what you were talking about. You just don't think about a squirrel dog like that, a top athlete. And a lot of these dogs, that's just what they are. They are on top of their game, and they're no different, really. I mean, they're high end. A lot of money swap hands on some of these dogs.
I think it's pretty much the same thing with coon hunting, though, too. I used to go with my uncle and them, when I was real young. We'd go squirrel hunting. They had a mountain cur, he'd go out there 100 yards. He ain't struck, he's checking back in. Well, I'm talking when I was real young, 10, 11 years old. Well, their coon dogs did the same thing. There were coon dogs when I was 10, 11 years old that would blow through the country, too. So you have different tiers of dogs, I believe, in every breed, every sport you're doing, right?
Right. And then and that goes back to, Tyler, that, your uncle probably trained that dog to where every time he went, beyond 100 yards, he probably, most of that dog's life, called him back in. He wanted him to hunt with him. And, I'm not saying, but maybe he did the same thing with his coon dog. He may have been check and spot hunting him, check hunting him at night, checking feed, creeks, whatever, and then calling him back in. And once you train a dog to the range that you want them, that's what you have. And a lot of these curs, there's probably a higher percentage of them that would be deeper hunting dogs. But with the Garmins now, people set a limit on a lot of these dogs. They'll let them go out 400 or 500 yards, and they start towing them. And it don't take a dog long to figure out, when I get out X amount of yards, I need to start checking back. So it has a lot to do with the training of how you hunt that dog from day one. If I'm going to hunt a competition style cur dog, when I start them here at my place, I cut them loose across the back of the place back here, and I pick me a little switch up. And it's just a little switch with a few little leads on it, nothing, just something to slap your pants leg. And if that little young dog runs in there and he makes him a loop in there and he comes back and looks at me, I just go to switching at my leg or shoot at him or whatever, and they go. Well, you do that 2 or 3 times, they figure out, that I don't need to go back up there. I need to go on, So it's all in how you train them. And like I said, some of these dogs are the hardest hunting dogs I've ever seen. That's any breed. I'm here to tell you, any breed. These dogs can hunt just as hard. There's cur dogs out here right now that can hunt 2 hours and average 16 to 18 miles an hour on a Garmin speed. That's moving pretty good.
Yeah, that's getting it. Not even gonna lie. So you kind of touched on it earlier, but tell me about how big the competition squirrel hunts have gotten and all the pro hunts and everything like that.
Well, and they're all great. I'm not knocking any organization at all. I hunt in OMCVA hunts, and UMCA is a great organization that's based right here in Batesville, Mississippi, North Mississippi area. They have a lot of hunts up in that part of the world, and South Arkansas is pretty heavily involved. And they're all great organizations. Probably comparable to what the Hound guys think of is a UKC event. Most of them are, just a points and awards type hunt. Well, several years back, NSD come along, which is the National Sporting Dog Association. It come along and it grew and grew, and now it and USDC, the Ultimate Squirrel Dog Club, is probably the 2 biggest. Most events yearly. I don't want to have a clue how many events they hold across America every year. And of course, they're all cash award hunts. So they have $30 hunts, just like PKC has the $30 weeknight 1 hour hunts or whatever they are now. Basically the same format, but like I said, the only kicker is I can go to an NSD hunt Saturday, show up, and just say there's 9 dogs there or 18 or whatever. It don't matter, that format's gonna run. So they draw 3 dog casts. You win your cast. You come back in. You going back out on a midday. You win that cast. You come back in. If it's a 9 dog hunt, you got one more time you got to go out. It's a full elimination. So you hunt a 90-minute round, and then you can hunt an hour round every round afterward. You cut out the drawing locations, best cast location. It's an even playing field. That dog that outscores those other dogs each round is going to be, he's going to be proven. And it goes up. They have $100 events, so $200 events. Pro hunts is, usually 200 to 500. And they're all the same format. You go and you hunt in those events, and it's full elimination. Of course, the pro hunts, we usually we put a cap on them. You call and reserve your spot, and I think there are 24 entries, and you'll hunt 2 rounds the first day, and then you'll hunt however many rounds you need to hunt to get to the final 3. And usually the final cast is on a Sunday morning. Everybody's fresh for the final.
So that would be like a legacy hunt in PKC. How you got to call in, get your entry, or a pro classic hunt or something like that, right?
Right.
So has it grown a lot over the past couple of years?
Oh my, yes, tremendously. I'd say over the past 3 to 5 years, it's really took off. Of course, I'm sure everybody knows Greg Maynard, Ohio, big buddies with Scott up there, and he coon hunts and he squirrel hunts, but Greg's done a lot for the sport. USDC, I think last year they had a truck hunt, over the winter. Got a Ford Ranger, and their pro hunts or their, what we call pro hunts would be probably top in the country. And they have some good ones. I mean, I can't play in very many of the games with them. I just don't do it, but they have some that pretty regular that are $500 entry, and they'll book them jokers up in just a little bit, and they can have one every weekend, I think. They book them. A lot of coon hound guys from the past are over there involved in it now, and it's been a good thing for the sport all the way around. I know there was a nice dog there last year that was doing really good, and quite a few $100 bills got slung around, and the next thing we knew, guy had bought him for 20 grand, and I think he got his money back in some in the first 2 hunts that he entered the dog.
That's interesting because, I never even thought about, I know it's big now, of course, but I never thought about competition squirrel hunting much. I guess since it is kind of new, I'm glad it's growing. It's great. It's great to see more people getting involved in dogs, and it's probably a lot of the same people that was involved are still involved in coon dogs or were involved with coon dogs like yourself.
Oh yeah, and then like I said, it all goes back to there's different styles of dog everywhere. When you start going to some of these better events, you're going to run up beside good dogs every cast. Of course, squirrel hunting's a little different. As long as that dog stays treed, you just about can't minus them. You're going to have some circle trees, trust me. And some of those circle trees are really legit, and some of those circle trees are dogs that can really make circle trees. And but it all falls back, the guys that win consistently, the Gregs and the Scotts and the Rod Hardy from Florida down south of us, those guys that win consistently, they don't win going to a bunch of circle trees. They got dogs that's treeing squirrels, and they're good handlers, and they find those squirrels, and they can beat your eyes out of your head because they pack in a squirrel dog.
So how does the point system work versus like competition coon hunting?
Well, it's a little different. There's no strike points. It's no strike points at all. And most of the coon hunts too, and NSD does have coon hunts, and there's no strike points. It's just tree points, and most of the clubs are going to have tree points. Countdown on trees. When you tree your dog, second tree will close, and it's 30 seconds, and then a minute goes by, and that tree's dead. Most of them are 2-minute trees. So you tree your dog, and he's treed for 2 minutes, and you start to him, and if he continues to show treed or open, barking treed, you can proceed to that tree and handle your dog. And most of the time there's a 5-minute search time, which the first 3 minutes, it's up to the cast if you can shake and beat and knock. Generally speaking, on the on most of these club or organization hunts, most of the guys that you're hunting with, they don't care if you shake. If their dog's not treed there, they don't care because he ain't coming no way. A lot of these dogs are really, really, really independent. So, most of them don't care. But like I said, you got a couple minutes there, you can glass that tree with binoculars or whatever, and then if you can't find him, you can bump a vine or what have you, and it's scored accordingly. Most of the time, the trees are 100 point first tree and 40 and 20. So it's a pretty good drop off on second tree to third tree. And
if you split, is that 100 for your tree?
Yes.
Yeah.
If a dog split tree, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just like competition hunting in that instance.
Right. It's same principle. It's so many. I think most of them is like 60 feet. If a dog splits 60 feet or beyond 60 feet, he's on a separate tree.
Okay. That's interesting that they have a certain amount of feet, because I've had a dog in a competition split, the next tree over.
Now that can happen inside of the search area, but what has to happen is the way they have the rules set up for if there's a jealous treeing dog, just say, right? So if that dog is declared treed in your search area, you have to find a squirrel in that dog's tree for it to be plus. In other words, if your dog is treed here and you find a squirrel in that search area, that other dog that was treed after you has to have a squirrel in the tree he's on. You understand what I'm saying? For it to be plus.
Yeah, and then it would be his tree, even with him inside of that 60 feet, would be 100 plus with him. Both of them would be 100 plus?
If a squirrel is found in both trees, yes.
Okay, but if it's circled, and he's within the 60, he'd get second tree?
No. If you find a squirrel in your search area and that dog's treed after the time and no squirrel is found there and he's inside your search area, that tree doesn't count at all.
Okay, they delete it?
Right.
Okay.
He would have to have a squirrel in his tree.
That's interesting. So what about if they tree a coon during the day? Is that a minus or is that a
No, it's
delete?
Just delete. It's just deleted because every now and again you'll have that. Like I said, especially the younger dogs. I know mine used to be notorious about. You go up to the Delta and kick them out at 7 o'clock in the morning. He might coon hunt first 30 minutes and tree a coon, and then you have to start squirrel hunting. But as they get a little age on it, like I said, I think they kind of figure it out. Yeah,
and so you give us some great information here, Stephen Dale. You really have. What about for the guy that's kind of like you were, and you're losing your land? How would you determine how to get into hunting with curs, even if he wanted to coon hunt with them, not just squirrel hunt? Where would you go about even finding reputable people that breed curs and all that? Where's y'all's social circle?
I never really knew a bunch of cur guys till I kind of got into this thing, and even when I first started fooling with them on a regular basis, I met a guy up in North Mississippi named Terry Snyder, and for those that know Terry, that he's one of the best cur dog men that I've ever met. And he's a bit of a hoot, but I love him to death. He's a great guy. And Terry has had a good reputation of having just show enough meat, tree dog, cur dogs. And I kind of got in with him and a few others, and you can go on Facebook. I hunt original mountain curs. A lot of times it's a bunch of cutting up going on there, but, there's a lot of good cur guys on there all over the South, north too. But, from Arkansas south, there's some really good cur dog men in Arkansas. Mississippi has a lot of good cur dog men. Louisiana has a lot of good cur dog men, but I can't name them all, and I don't want to try to name some of them and miss some. But like I said, that you can get on that page and you can kind of find out who's got some good dogs and where you can find some dogs, and a lot of them kind of speak for themselves. Was lucky enough that I hunted with my dog's dad. Old Trigger was probably 5 back then, and maybe 6, and I was blown away. Coon hunted once with him, I think, and then I squirrel hunted with him several times, and I was blown away that the mouth that he had for a cur dog. He had a good mouth. He was a good, clean tree dog, no nonsense, and I really liked him. I liked how he had meat every time you walked to him. And, of course, another good friend of mine, Brad Goodman in Wesson, had a world champion cur coon dog. His name was Dixie Creek Jagger, which was out of Terry's Jesse dog. That was one of the best that probably ever walked. But she was a real deal. And, of course, Terry bred them a few times, and I found out that a friend of mine got a full sister out of a different cross to Jagger, and he bred her to Trigger. And I really like Jagger, and I really like Trigger, and of course, I was kind of hoping for something in the middle, and that's how he come about. And I went and picked him out when he was 6 weeks old. He was running a litter, and Carl was picking up pups. You ought to take this one. And they were all big, pretty, bold pups, and I don't think there was a bad pick in the bunch. But it's just something about this one. He was, like I said, he was a little old runny, naughty looking thing when he was little, and he put them all on the ground, and they were all around there pulling on Britch's legs and everything else, and this one was out yonder chasing butterflies 40 yards from us, and I said, no, I want that one. And the rest is kind of history.
Yep, that is awesome, man. You need to come up here and we'll go to the river swamp and go hunting out of the boat, go squirrel hunting.
Well, I'll be glad to, and, like I said, you're welcome. You're welcome to go anytime. Usually, I can take him out by himself, and he's not too bad by himself. He's going to tree squirrels as he comes to them, and he won't try to hurt you. A lot of people that have hunted with him and drew him said, man, I couldn't hunt that type of dog every day, but it's like I say, he's just a little different animal. You drop him with other dogs, especially male dogs, he's going to blow in there. He's going to get away from them dogs, and that's what I want him to do. I mean, that's how you win hunts, but he's not that style of dog, just pleasure hunting. He's pretty nice dog to pleasure hunt for a competition dog.
Good, that's what I like. I don't like to have to walk too much when I'm squirrel hunting.
I hear you.
I walk when I coon hunt, but I don't know. Squirrel hunting, I want that to be pleasurable. I don't pleasure.
Well, if the squirrels is down and moving and you get somewhere with plenty of squirrels, he's real fun to hunt. You'll have a blast, I promise you.
Yeah, hope he's better than old Colton dog. He's going to listen to this. He's going to hear that, too.
Hey, they all have their moments. And then, like I said, now, I've had a lot of people hunt with him, and a lot of people do like him. There's several people that really like Digger, and then there's several people that sometimes really wish they'd never seen him. But, usually that's after they done walked the last 10 minutes on the cast, and he's treed over there about 900 yards and has a squirrel to win it. And they have to walk out, through the hills 1.5 miles. So, that's when you don't really like him, but that's part of it.
Yep, and I know what you mean, man. I know exactly what you mean. Man, thank you for coming on here, Stephen Dale. I really do. It was interesting to hear about all that. I hope everybody else finds it interesting, too. I think they will. I know this is a coon hunting podcast, and we covered some coon hunting, but I think it's important to cover, the transition between a cur and a hound. Doesn't sound like there's a whole lot, I mean,
there's not, and like I said, do you some research, go look around, and anybody that hasn't hunted with a really good coon dog or or even a good cur squirrel dog, I would advise you to give it a little try. You know, go a few times. So, you know, it's not for everybody, but I never would have dreamed 20 years ago that I'd be where I am right now, the way I feel about them. I would have never dreamed the dogs would suit me as well as they have, and I'm very fortunate and blessed that I've had the luck that I have had with the cur dogs, and they're just a little different. They might not be for everybody, but if you get a good one, they're extremely smart. They're dogs that your kids can play with every day, and you trust them. They're loyal dogs, and they're excellent hunting dogs.
It sounds like it, man. That's awesome. You got anything else you'd like to say? You got anybody you want to shout out before we sign off?
Well, no, you know, you guys just stay safe and just remember, I know I hadn't been around the hound competition side in a while, but
yeah, I can tell you still think UKC just gives out trophies, huh?
Well, hey, I apologize. I'm not trying to bash UKC in any kind of way. Hey, look, I went to a many UKC hunt, and I know they have some slam hunts and what have you, but of course, man, you know, we live in a day and age now with all these hunts that, you know, and it's sad, but money's everything, you know, to everybody nowadays. Them wooden plaques don't burn good in your gas tank.
They don't, and I mean, you know, you got to have a little bit to.
You gotta make it
time.
Exactly. You gotta make it to where you can benefit from it, but
you might not win, but at least give me the chance to win my money back, you know.
Right.
But yeah, they got that tournament of champions. That's like $200,000, you know.
Yeah, I did know about that actually. I try to keep up with it. I would say to everybody before we leave, you know, it doesn't matter what league, what critter you chasing, whatever. Guys, just try to be honest and try to have good sportsmanship. I know we all cut up, pick and play, and I know you know that I used to be the world's worst about it. I'd rub on somebody pretty hard if I got a chance, but
oh yeah,
keep it fun and keep it healthy and productive. You know, we all in this thing together, and if we're going to keep doing it, we gotta stick together.
Yep, you're right, Stephen Dale. And you picture this. I was thinking about this when I was interviewing Brendan Tony. You remember back when me, you, and him was the only 3 hunting night champions. And we'd pile in that little green Nissan Frontier you had back then. And we'd be going down that Amite River Swamp. Piling that little, what they was extended calves in, huh?
I had a
half cab.
Right, I had that was an extended cab 90. I think that truck that you're talking about was a 97 model, and I drove that thing for 300,000 miles. If that truck could have talked, it would have been something. But I tell you what, that old truck did do. It hauled a pretty nice hound in it. I can tell you that.
It did. I know Brendan. He put his in there all the time.
Yep. And I used to beat up on Brendan so bad, but he don't want to talk about that. That's when he was a little kid. I have to pick up my buddy. I do miss hunting with Brendan and a lot of those guys. Man, I could go on forever, but with Harvey and Toby Miller and Jesse Lively, man, good Lord. I miss them guys. It was a lot of fun, but like I said, this little deal we're in now, it's just as fun, and I have been just having a blast. I've met good guys everywhere I've been.
Well, it just goes to show you that hunting dogs is a universal language, right? You come right out of coon hunting.
That's right.
They'll with those guys. You know what I mean?
Hey, we got some top-notch hound squirrel dogs nowadays. I mean, there's guys hunting walker dogs and squirrel hunts and winning buckets and buckets of money.
Do those dogs tend to take a colder squirrel?
No, most of them that I've hunted with, the good ones they're just really quick to get their head up and they can tree. I would assume just like I'm treeing a layup coon.
Yeah.
You know, some of them do tree colder trees, and you're going to tree more. You'll have some that tree more dens, but, you know, they shake a lot of squirrels out too, you know, treeing, you know, colder trees. But the biggest difference in this deal, just like those full elimination hunts, you go on a big bluebird day and it's blistering cold in February. Well, everybody knows that it's hard to get a squirrel tree in the middle of the day, right? I mean, that's not when they're typically down. That hound's tough to get by because he's going to tree a little colder tree. You better. I have personally won several hunts with dogs having 300 and 400 and 500 circle, and me just get lucky and get, you know, we're hunting in one direction going to their dog, and he's done treed several times, and I just get close enough to hear, you know, digger treed in there 700-800 yards, and you walk to him and it's 10 minutes left in the cast, and he trees one time, has one squirrel. Well, that's just luck, you know. I mean, it is luck, but it's not. It takes a dog that can get a squirrel treed in any condition.
Yep, you are correct. Yeah, I believe that. Just like coon hunting, man. I mean, you got to have something.
Right. It's the same song and dance, buddy. If you got something that trees meat, you're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah. Same. Yep, I understand what you're saying, buddy. Well, Stephen Dale, it's good talking with you, man. And thank you for coming on here, buddy. I really do appreciate it. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, man. Y'all have a great night.
Yes, sir. You too. I really hope y'all enjoyed that interview as much as I did. If you like what you heard here, go on over to Facebook, give us a like at Coon Hunting U. Also, go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and a review. It really helps us out. And remember, if you need a new hunting light, do not overlook Superior. They make an awesome light, best customer service in the business. Man, their walking light and double red is the brightest I've ever seen. Use coupon code CHU podcast at checkout at nighthunters.com. You can find the link in the description box below this. Coon Hunting University is a product of Audio Hound Productions. Until next time, y'all have a wonderful day.